walked past something broken, tossed aside, and thought, "That's just trash?" What if I told you, those forgotten things can become the most beautiful part of your garden? Welcome to Verdant Dreams, where we turn throwaways into treasures. In this video, we'll explore colorful, clever, and surprisingly elegant DIY trash garden ideas, all made from what most people throw away. You'll find chapters below to skip to what you need. And if something sparks your imagination, drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And hey, maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind every frame is a real story, and a real family. This isn't just a video. It's a piece of my life. Every like, every share, every subscriber keeps this little dream alive. So if you feel inspired, create something. And if you feel moved, hit subscribe, not just to support a creator, but to keep one family's hope growing, one garden at a time. In the quiet corners of a small English-inspired garden, where the air is perfumed by blooming marigolds and the soft hum of bees, something unexpected curls between the blossoms, a path alive with color and imagination. They call it the bottle bloom snake path, a whimsical ribbon of hand-painted bottles weaving gently through flower beds and under pergola arches. Each bottle tells a story. Once forgotten in landfills or left behind on porches, they now rise proudly from the soil like garden sentinels, dressed in shades of mint green, butter yellow, blush pink, and sky blue. They're not just trash transformed, they're artifacts of care, guiding bare feet and curious minds through a trail that whispers with every step. Set into the earth with patient hands, the bottles stand shoulder to shoulder, their necks glowing in the sun, catching glints of light like stained glass windows in a countryside chapel. As you follow the path's gentle curve, you're led past tufts of Japanese anemones swaying like dancers, through clusters of bold chrysanthemums in golden crowns, and beside beds of sedum glistening with dew. Children laugh as they trace the snake's head, a curved bottle with eyes painted on, and visitors can't help but pause, marveling at how simple refuse has become something so deeply poetic. It feels like the garden itself is smiling, not just blooming, but beaming, alive with a gentle joy that only creativity can sow. No cinematic tricks. No perfection required. Just clear, vibrant beauty born from human hands and hopeful hearts. The bottle bloom snake path reminds us that even the smallest space, even the tiniest yard, can become a canvas. It shows us that art and nature can meet in unexpected places, and that even the most ordinary trash can bloom into something extraordinary. And as autumn's light softens, and the leaves begin to fall, the path remains, winding, welcoming, whispering stories beneath your feet. In a garden where space is measured not by square footage but by delight, lies a border that sparkles with childlike charm, the stone candy curve borders. Here, smooth stones once gray and ordinary have been kissed by a brush and transformed into pastel treasures. Like sweets from a candy shop, they sit nestled in the earth, curving around flower beds with a soft, welcoming grin. Mint, lilac, blush, lemon, each stone wears its color like a little celebration. They do not shout. They sing softly, playfully. Their curved formation isn't rigid or forced. It dances gently through the garden, mimicking the rhythm of nature's lines, the arc of a stem, the twist of a vine, the bend of a breeze. Children stop and trace the stones with curious fingers. Garden visitors bend low to admire how perfectly they frame the riot of color behind. Aster blooms stretching like purple stars, golden marigolds buzzing with bees, and the elegant Japanese anemones swaying with grace. The border feels like a painted ribbon, tying together the elements of the garden into one unified gift. Each stone once lay forgotten, discarded along riverbeds, construction piles, or garden corners. But with a touch of paint and a bit of care, they now glow under the morning sun, holding the edges of flower beds like guardians of beauty. They're not just decoration, they're emotion embedded in earth. They turn ordinary perimeters into soft gestures of love, marking the space where nature thrives and dreams are planted. The pastel tones invite not just sight, but feeling. Peace, joy, warmth. The stone candy curve borders remind us that you don't need vast land or expensive material to create magic. Even in a tiny patio or narrow garden strip, the careful placement of color and form can enchant. With a simple stroke of creativity, even a humble rock becomes part of a living fairy tale. And when evening comes, and the sky begins to blush like the stones themselves, this candy-colored curve glows quietly, a gentle boundary not to keep things out, but to frame the beauty within. something undeniably cheerful about a fence that doesn't try to blend in. One that sings its colors out loud, like a chorus of joy tucked into the corners of a tiny backyard. The painted pipe rainbow fence is exactly that, a celebration of color, creativity, and the beauty of upcycling. Made from discarded PVC and water pipes, the fence rises from the earth like a rainbow's roots. Each pipe, once forgotten in dusty storage or tossed into trash bins, is now reborn with purpose and pride. From fiery red to ocean blue, sunbeam yellow to soft violet, the spectrum is hand-brushed in matte and glossy finishes that gleam under the sun and shimmer after rain. Children love it. Adults pause. It's not just a boundary, it's a burst of optimism rising from the soil. The fence runs playfully along the edge of a flower bed, framing clusters of sedum autumn joy and swaying asters, with golden marigolds dancing behind. It feels alive. Not because it moves, but because it sparks something inside those who pass by. It's not tall, nor imposing. Just a series of humble pipes standing side by side, each with a color and character of its own. Like people. Like petals. Like moments. Set against a rustic pergola or paired with a bamboo gate, this rainbow fence transforms even the smallest patio or front yard strip into something that feels intentional, loved, and alive. It doesn't try to mimic perfection. Instead, it celebrates the handmade, the recycled, the real. And when autumn winds rustle the garden, and petals begin to drift, the painted pipes remain, bold and bright, reminding everyone that even the plainest object can hold magic when touched by vision and care. The painted pipe rainbow fence isn't just a DIY project. It's a mood lifter, a creative nudge. A colorful embrace wrapping around your garden's edges, turning trash into treasure, and turning an ordinary space into a storybook scene. Silence of a lazy afternoon, a breeze stirs the edge of a garden, and soft metallic chimes echo like laughter caught in wind. The sound doesn't come from a wind chime, at least, not a traditional one, but from a line of upcycled tin can bell totems, dancing beneath a wooden pergola like forgotten relics of a whimsical fair. Each tin can was once a container of something mundane, beans, soup, or coffee. But now, they've been reborn in color and charm. Painted in dusty teal, rose pink, and warm cream, some show delicate hand-drawn vines, others burst with floral prints. Suspended from jute strings or stacked on rust-proof rods, these bells no longer serve food, they serve beauty, texture, and sound. Their presence in a garden is gentle yet magical. They don't scream for attention, but when the wind flows, or when someone walks close, they respond with a soft jingle that reminds you of simpler times. They look like memories made solid, a child's art project, a grandmother's vintage kitchen, a summer craft day filled with laughter. Underneath them, a bed of blooming chrysanthemums and golden marigolds creates a vibrant, living base. Japanese anemones sway as if waltzing to the melody above. The entire scene becomes an orchestration of form and feeling, vertical color rising above horizontal bloom. Tiny gardens need not be plain. With a little vision and a few old cans, a small corner becomes a stage where light dances, color sings, and even wind plays an instrument. These totems are not just ornaments. They are moments suspended in air, frozen in motion, yet alive with expression. Visitors pause here. They listen. They smile. The totems are conversation starters, memory makers, and creative sparks. And they prove, once again, that beauty doesn't require newness. It only requires love, color, and a willingness to see magic in the mundane. The tin can bell totems sway with every passing breeze, a reminder that gardens are not just about what grows, but about what glows, rings, and surprises. As the sun sets and the garden hushes into twilight, a new kind of bloom awakens, one that glows from within. Among the flowers, along narrow paths and beneath wooden pergolas, glass necks rise from the earth like fireflies caught mid-flight. These are not flowers. These are bottleneck-like garden lights, silent lanterns born from discarded glass, now cradling gentle fire in their bellies. It begins with the bottle, forgotten, dusty, tossed aside. But in the hands of someone with vision, it becomes a beacon. Carefully cleaned, sometimes tinted with soft translucent color, each bottle is set neck down into the soil or arranged like sentinels along a garden's edge. Inside, a coil of solar-powered fairy lights or battery-operated LED strands breathe life into the glass. And when night falls, they shine. The effect is enchanting. The light spills through colored glass, casting honeyed shadows onto stone paths and flower petals. Nearby, golden marigolds sway, their hues echoing the bottle's glow. Sedum autumn joy glimmers beneath, and chrysanthemums dance in warm contrast. It's not bright. It's not harsh. It's enough. Enough to make a tiny garden feel like a dream. Neighbors walking by pause, drawn in by the quiet wonder. Visitors stay longer. And for the gardener, this small gesture of reuse and beauty feels deeply personal. It's proof that light doesn't always need to be wired. That magic doesn't require newness. That even a bottle can become a keeper of stories. Sometimes, a garden needs more than flowers. It needs moments. It needs gentle punctuation to mark its beauty. And these glowing neck lights do just that. They mark the curve of a border, the base of a tree, or the entrance to a pergola. And they do it without flash, only grace. The bottleneck light garden lights remind us that even glass can have a second life. That lighting can be soft, soulful, and sustainable. And that every small garden has room for a little glow, not just from the plants that bloom, but from the hearts that made them shine. Like the pages of an old storybook, the rustic tin patch garden edging brings a whisper of the past into the present, a tapestry made not of thread and cloth, but of forgotten tin, artfully reborn. In a garden that cherishes imperfection and embraces handmade charm, this border is not just functional. It's a quiet celebration of care, patience, and nostalgia. Each tin piece was once a container for paint, beans, tea, or soup. Flattened by hand, edges smoothed with love, they are painted in earthy tones and soft pastels, sage, dusty rose, mustard, and ivory. Some bear hand-drawn flowers or time-worn patterns like fragments of vintage wallpaper. When arranged side by side, they resemble a metal quilt wrapping the flower bed in rustic affection. Beneath the border, Japanese anemones lift their graceful faces. Marigolds glow golden in the light. Clusters of sedum form a low, welcoming base. The tin glints in the sun, not with polish, but with soul, a lived-in sheen that only handmade pieces can offer. Children stop to trace the patterns with their fingers. Gardeners pause, smiling at the play of color and texture. It's not symmetrical. It's not uniform. And that's the point. Like a patchwork blanket passed down through generations, it speaks of stories, of memory, of the beauty in gathered things. Tiny patios, narrow paths, or front porch gardens, all find new life when edged with these humble yet expressive panels. The garden feels wrapped, not just in color, but in history. The rough meets the tender. The metal meets the bloom. The discarded becomes decorated. And as the seasons change, and leaves begin to scatter, the tin edging remains, a steadfast frame around life's softest corners. It asks nothing. It simply reflects what it holds: joy, time, and quiet artistry. The rustic tin patch garden edging proves that even scrap metal can be poetic. That your backyard doesn't need luxury, only love, a bit of paint, and a vision for beauty beyond the obvious. Some fences are meant to separate. Others, like this one, are meant to celebrate. The bamboo and bottle fence harmony isn't just a boundary, it's a fusion of the organic and the reclaimed. A dialogue between nature's simplicity and human creativity. In a garden where every inch matters, this fence brings both structure and soul. The bamboo speaks first, tall, smooth, and honest. Its warm, golden tones feel familiar, grounding the space with a quiet elegance. Between the bamboo poles rise the bottles, inverted, painted, and glowing in shades of seafoam, lilac, and pale lemon. Each bottle, once a vessel for something forgotten, now holds its place with pride beside nature's own creation. Together, they alternate like notes on a scale, building rhythm and visual poetry. The garden behind them responds, bold chrysanthemums nod in the breeze, while sedum and marigolds burst in warm color. Japanese anemones lean gently toward the fence as if drawn to its charm. It is not loud. It is not perfect. But it is harmonious. This border belongs in the kinds of places where people sip morning tea in wool sweaters, where children chase butterflies barefoot, where every bloom feels personal. It invites slow walks, soft conversations, and deep admiration for the balance of materials, one grown, one reclaimed, both reborn. You don't need vast land for this kind of beauty. A tiny yard, a narrow bed. Even the base of a pergola or the edge of a small patio becomes something magical with this combination. It is a fence that does not say, keep out. It says, come closer. The bamboo and bottle fence harmony is a reminder that beauty doesn't need to be brand new. That the future of design lives in balance, between the sustainable and the soulful, between color and calm, between the hands that build and the earth that holds. In a garden where every inch counts, vertical dreams take root in the most unexpected forms. The stacked conflower pillars rise like miniature towers of color and bloom, crafted not from bricks or stone, but from humble tin cans, once tossed away and now standing proud. Each pillar begins with a vision, not of grandeur, but of gratitude. Gratitude for second chances, for creativity, for the joy of growing upward. One by one, the cans are collected, cleaned, and painted in soft cottage hues, blush, sage, ivory, cornflower blue. Some are adorned with hand-painted florals or dotted with simple rustic patterns. No two are the same, and that's where their charm begins. Stacked carefully, they form sturdy columns, not too tall, just enough to lift their blooms above the ground. Within them grow bursts of color, golden marigolds trailing down like sunlit ribbons, sedum spilling gently over the rims, purple asters peeking boldly from their centers. In others, Japanese anemones rise elegantly, their pale petals catching the light like tiny paper lanterns. They do not scream for attention. Yet in the quiet corners of a garden, they are beacons of joy. Children walk between them, drawn to their candy-colored coats and whispering flowers. Gardeners smile as they pass, proud of what reuse can become. Placed beside pathways, tucked into patio corners, or flanking pergola entrances, these flower pillars become story markers. They say, here is where creativity lives. Here is where trash blooms. Here is where beauty doesn't require perfection. What was once a soup can now hold marigold crowns. What was once discarded now stands tall. This is more than DIY. It is a celebration of resourcefulness, of floral delight, of structure made soft by petals. The stacked conflower pillars don't just elevate plants, they elevate the spirit of the space. They remind us that gardens aren't defined by the space they take, but by the stories they tell. And in these quiet towers of tin and bloom, those stories rise upward, rooted in color and care. Step by step, the garden invites you in, not with grand arches or ornate gates, but with quiet joy beneath your feet. The pebble-dot pastel walkway is where playfulness meets poetry. A winding path kissed by color, guiding you through blooms with gentle whispers and whimsical charm. Each pebble tells a tale. Gathered from riversides or forgotten corners, these tiny stones are hand-painted in delicate pastels, the soft pink of spring petals, the mint of morning mist, the yellow of first sunlight. Set into a compacted gravel base, they form patterns of dots, scattered like confetti, laid like lace, dotted like stardust. And as you walk, your feet meet not just the earth, but intention. The intention to notice beauty in the smallest of things. To celebrate the detail. To pause, even for a second, and smile at the unexpected joy of a pastel pebble winking up from the soil. Bordered by garden beds brimming with golden marigolds and velvet asters, the path is a thread between blooms. Sedum creeps softly at the edges, and Japanese anemones lean close, their petals almost touching the painted stones. It feels less like a walkway, more like a trail of thought. A journey through color and calm. In a small yard, where space is precious, this kind of design becomes the heartbeat of the garden. It draws the eye and the spirit forward. It invites movement without haste, wonder without noise. Even a narrow stretch of soil becomes a canvas, painted not with brush strokes, but with footprints and imagination. Children call it the fairy path. Guests call it delightful. And the gardener, the one who painted each dot by hand, calls it hers. This is not about perfection. Some dots are faded, some off-center, but together they sing. Like laughter on a breeze, like sunlight flickering through trees. The pebble dot pastel walkway is a gentle reminder, beauty is not always bold. Sometimes, it's small, round, and quietly waiting beneath your feet. In a quiet corner of the garden, a place often overlooked, something delightful begins to twist and turn. Not a vine, not a bloom, but color. Curved, gentle, playful color. The pipe whirlwind flower bed border isn't just a garden edging. It's a moment of surprise, a swirl of joy that pulls the eye and the heart into motion. What was once rigid plumbing pipe is now art. Each segment cut, softened, and painted in tones that soothe and smile: dusty lilac, antique mint, buttery peach, soft sky. The pipes are arranged in loops and spirals, like wind frozen in motion. They wrap around flower beds in gentle whirls, framing nature with human touch. Inside the swirling edge, life explodes. Marigolds reach for the sun, sedum spreads like a soft carpet, and chrysanthemums bloom like fireworks. Between them, Japanese anemones stretch upward, delicate yet bold, flowers dancing in the eye of the spiral. There is something magical in the curves. Where most garden borders are linear and firm, this one plays. It bends with joy. It feels like movement made solid. It invites children to follow the loops with curious hands. It draws guests in, leaning closer, asking, "Is that really a pipe?" Yes. Trash. Transformed. In small gardens, creativity becomes not just useful, but essential. This design embraces the challenge, turning scraps into sculpture. Whether in a corner of a patio or beside a vintage bench under a pergola, the pipe whirlwind border brings motion and softness, breaking the geometry of space with circular kindness. And it's not just visual. It's emotional. It says, this garden is alive, not just with flowers, but with ideas. The pipes don't hide their past. They wear it with pride. They've become something new without pretending to be anything but recycled and reborn. The pipe whirlwind flower bed border is a final flourish, a signature. It's where craft meets cottage, where waste becomes wonder, and where gardens, no matter how small, become infinite in imagination.